Good evening, everyone. Good evening. And welcome to the Legends of Valcia, Session 11. This will be the 11th session of this D&D campaign, which is amazing. It feels like we started last week because it's been so much fun. I am Lamachamp. I'm playing the Dwarven monk Harbeck Ironfist, who finally last week lived up to his surname. Above me is Eversor.
Hello, I'm Eversor. I will be playing Brieg, the crazy gnome who may or may not be a reincarnated god.
Above him is Babs.
Oh hey! I'm Babs. I will be playing Dinblade, the ranger that was raised by wolves.
And then across on the left side of the screen, we have a still picture of Useless.
I will be playing Rogar, the Dragonborn Cleric.
Just above him is Flick.
I will be playing Tabrin, the Warlock Orphan.
And
more backstory there.
lurking in the dark in the top left corner of your screen is Lolash.
And I'm the nasty, evil DM whose only job is to try and murder the party horribly
Evil.
and entertainingly.
Bad guys.
Hopefully, that's what I'm aiming for. Entertainment is what I'm aiming for. How's everybody doing tonight? Are you all well?
Woo! Fantastic.
Great.
So excited.
Yeah.
Today
So-
was my last day of work.
Yes.
Possibly forever.
I got a letter in the mail that told me that I passed my dental boards.
Hey, your day was better than mine.
That was good news.
What a day! It's a great day. I got through a 9-hour stream and played XCOM and got super salty. So I suppose that's a thing as well.
Oh, quick! Somebody wash the salt off the DM before D&D starts.
We need to do a quick recap. So who would like to regale the exploits of the adventurous party?
Is this like entire campaign to date in 30 seconds or less? Is that the goal?
on a logarithmic detail scale,
Right.
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
detail
just
end at the present.
mostly focused on what happened last session, like the full last session.
Okay, so I will attempt to do that. Our party met on a ship that we all were on for various reasons. That ship ended up wrecking, and we washed up in Vier, which was our destination anyway, so that was fine. Hijinks ensued, and we are fighting against the followers of a assumed dead evil goddess named Sarath. We left Vier for a time and went to a little town called Kanesh, looking for someone to help us translate some documents and things that we found. And that led us to a group of people that are still somewhat mysterious. We think that maybe they are allies, but they're kind of shady ones, so we don't like them very much. At their request, we returned to Vier and then off the coast of Vier, looking for our shipwreck. We found the shipwreck. It didn't look particularly wrecked. Rather, it was the entire ship neatly perched on a little island out in the bay near Vier. We explored that and found some things, including a 6.5 foot tall kobold, which made Brieg wig out and turn super evil murder machine. That kobold's name is Kurtlemock, and we have since decided that he is also maybe an evil god, somehow related to Ganesh, we assume. He called Brieg Baravar, which is maybe also the name of a god. Anyway, we recovered from that a box that had some unholy symbols of Sarath and also a creepy yellow crystal that we have been instructed not to touch, and that Lamachamp is bringing back to the Artificers Guild in Vier. We're not really sure what's going on there. On our way back from the shipwreck, the captain who had taken us out to the shipwreck left us there. So we were rowing our way back on a little longboat and were rescued by a lovely ship that was unfortunately full of elves who have been hunting Brieg for some time since he escaped a mental institution that they ran. So Brieg hid in a barrel disguised as a old drunken halfling. And then they returned us to Vier, which was nice of them. When we returned, we went back to our little hotel that we've been staying at and inn that we've been staying at and decided to investigate the things that we found on the shipwreck, including the box that was marked with the unholy symbol of Sarath. Brieg tried to disarm some traps, thought that he had done so successfully, and then...
Was a super good idea.
Yeah, it was a super good idea. Then Din decided, like, well, can't unlock it. Let's just pry it open. And when we did that, it exploded in a giant ball of fire and burnt our inn down, and also summoned some evil lizard people that we have been encountering on and off, servants of Sarath, who we killed. And then we tried to put out the fire and resurrect our little inn before deciding that we need more information, and the people most likely to have that information are Rogar's people, the Dragonborn in the Freelands of Amaris, who still hold to those old traditions and know all about all of these lizardy gods and that pantheon. So we're going to go and talk to them and hope that they can tell us what in the world is going on.
Basically covers everything. A couple of interesting points. Dragony gods. Puny gnome. Dragony, not lizardy.
Oh, dragon gods. Well, you know, I'm not on great
Different.
terms with them.
Dragons are just alpha lizards. Everybody knows it.
We're not
The
on
other
great
thing
terms,
was-
and I like to insult them at every turn, so...
The other thing that was interesting was you did encounter that really weird, genitalless, naked, purple lizard thing that shot the shards of crystal at you.
And Rogar told us about them, and they're scary.
Yeah, they're super scary apparently.
Rogar's
Something
proud warrior people ran into them once and just got their butts handed to them
But I punched that guy in the face
because they're scary. I stabbed
Yeah.
him in
because
some
he was going to
vital
hurt my
organs.
Brieg.
and they have a magic that's unlike anything.
Yeah, like unmagic.
Yeah.
We have a fairly magically diverse party in our arcane trickster and our weird warlock and our cleric. So there's a really good solid grasp of magic, and this was nothing that any of them had seen or read about before. So, yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, so we are currently in the capital city of Vir in Eranon. You're in your inn, which you have been diligently trying to clean up for a day or so, and had a bit of a rest, and the inn has been restored to not its former glory, but its former state, I suppose. It was never a particularly glorious establishment, but it's back in working order. There's a few bits that are rough around the edges, but
We
you
can make
probably-
better whiskey there now because the whole inside has been charred.
Yeah.
So, you know, it imparts that smoky flavor. It's important.
And yeah, like
Let's run with that. Yeah.
if
We
anybody's in
improved the inn. It's got character now.
Isn't it just the barrel you need to char? I think maybe
Yeah.
we took the char.
Who's the brewmaster here?
Okay, so anyway, you guys have decided, or I believe you have all but decided, that the next step on your adventure is to travel to the Freelands of Amaris and discover a little bit more about the old dragon pantheon from before the Cataclysm, and if these names mean anything to the elders of Rogar's clan, and find out a little bit more about this weird purple snake thing, and just generally try and get a little bit more information about what's going on. Is that sort of the plan at this stage?
Yes.
And it's going
It's my
home.
understanding that there's like a very regular shipping route that stops at Port Maverick, right? It's the
Yes, yes. So there's a ship that heads down from Port Idion down to Port Illan, across to Port Artis, down to Kanesh, not Kanesh, sorry, down to Veer, stops at Veer, heads over to Port Maverick, and then heads back up to Port Idion. So there's a ship, a regular ship, a trade ship that docks at Veer. It used to be the Mary Eileen. Unfortunately, she was sunk.
I should show everybody the map. There's Port Ellen, where it starts.
It starts at Port Idion, which is up in Thacon,
Oh.
and then travels down to
And
Illan.
there's Port Illan where I got on the boat the first time. And
Yeah.
there's Veer, where we are right now. And the next stop on that route is across at Port Maverick.
I'm
Yes.
in my brain. it
Don't
went
miss
like
our port.
In my brain, it went the other way, and we were going to have to go to Thacon, and that was super scary.
No,
But
no.
Happily, we'll just have to make the short trip to.
So Harbeck has been hard at work brewing up a bunch of stuff to leave the innkeeper as sort of a sorry we burned down your inn present. And also lots of the sleeping drink that he's invented so he can make it across this. I'm so scared of oceans.
Yeah, and you've got a reason to be scared of oceans. So far, everything that has happened on an ocean has been horrific and terrifying.
Yeah,
So,
nothing good happens unless there is stone beneath your feet.
now, so what I want you to do is roll a Brewmastery Tools check to see what kind of quality you pumped those out at. And what's the party going to do about getting, transport over to Amorous? Is there anything you want to wrap up in town? What needs to be done before you head off over? Because you're leaving a major city here. You're leaving a place that you've called home for weeks now, and heading to somewhere that's relatively unknown to most of you. Even Din, who grew up on the peninsula there in Amorous, she was raised in the wild, so she's quite some way from home. Even when she does dock in Port Maverick, it's still fairly alien. And Rogar's people live way up near Norfolk, near the mountains. So, you're still going to be quite some way away. It's unknown territory, shall we say?
So I have some super basic supplies like arrows and maybe a couple of extra throwing daggers that I would like to pick up. Also, maybe while we're here, we should try to figure out. We have a week of downtime or something while we're fixing up the inn and resting and stuff, right? Maybe we should figure out what this magic ring we found does.
Harbeck is also hoping that a spider comes to visit him for a yellow crystal.
Yeah.
If it doesn't show up in 2 or 3 days, he's going to start hunting for some way to contact the artificers. And he's super sad that he never got to hang out with them.
I have down that we had 1,000 gold pieces worth of gems from the ship, and we dumped the weapons overboard, correct?
Yep.
Yes, because you needed to hide a particularly conspicuous gnome in a barrel.
Awesome. Yeah, I think finding out what that gold ring with the onyx is, if it is anything.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a good idea.
Okay, so we need to... So Harbeck's keeping an eye out for, or an ear out, I should say, for any tiny mechanical spiders. And we're trying to find out what's going on with the onyx ring. And
I'd like
purchasing some menial supplies.
Do an arcana check to see if there's any magic infused in it, or if it's just a valuable piece of jewelry.
Okay.
There's also, if there's time while we're waiting for spiders and doing preparations, Harbeck's been kicking around an idea for a new drink that would dull someone's senses so they would take reduced damage from incoming attacks with an offset of disadvantage on all their attack rolls because they're a little bit fumbly and clumsy after they drink it. He'd like to work on seeing if he can get that recipe cranked out one of these nights.
Okay, no worries. As far as you can tell, the ring... It seems to have all of the hallmarks of a magical ring. An interesting sort of runic script like that's obviously a script. There's obviously something written on it, but it's not anything that you can recognize.
It's all that like almost draconic language, right?
Yeah, it's in the almost draconic language that Rogar can't decipher either. But as far as you can tell, there is no magic. Like it's, if you imagined a magical ring before it had its magic put in it, this is what you would imagine.
Well, that's
That's
disappointing.
not to say that that's the case, but that's what it,
That's what it appears.
appears to be like. Yeah. All right. Well. Okay, I'm just trying to think.
Still seems like it might be important. I guess we shouldn't just sell it because it's pretty. Do you
Well,
agree
you
with
did
that
get
assessment, Tabern?
You did get hold
Sorry.
of it on.
Say again.
Just that we should probably hold on to the ring even though it's not enchanted, just in case it is otherwise important.
If there's any other importance to it, we may consider taking it to the local mage tower to further investigate, identify it. Might be worth it.
I'm kind of afraid that someone will be able to read it and terrible things will happen.
Good point.
Seems to happen every time we show someone anything that we found.
And I feel like if it were enchanted, we should be able to figure out at least a little bit between all of our various magical prowess. I'm not sure that taking it to the mages is going to give us any more information than, I mean...
Harbeck weighs in with his magical prowess. It's definitely made of metal.
and stone.
Aye.
All right. So, who wants to pick up? Like, as far as random sundries, you mentioned a couple of throwing daggers, a few extra arrows. Does anybody else need to replenish?
Harbeck is
Anything in that
hoping
respect?
he can reproduce the tranquilizer fluid that was in his darts, which he has used all of. And I don't know if I can synthesize that myself with my alchemy supplies and skills, or if I need to find the artificers and get them to make it for me.
I'm not confident there's a lot of point in duplicating it. Did it ever work?
I never
Yes.
hit anything with it because I'm bad at throwing darts.
Oh, okay.
But I think the one time that I got it to connect, I think it did work.
Okay.
You did hit something in the last fight, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I put one guy to sleep with it.
Yeah, the guy
Yeah.
inside the building,
Yeah.
and he.
He went
But-
right down. Like it was good trank fluid.
Yeah,
And-
I'm
Harbeck?
remembering now. Maybe you punched him with it instead of threw it at him?
No, I tried that one time, but the one that actually hit was the thrown one. It's just the delivery system was not super effective.
Okay.
Little
If you
operator
gave them
error
to
on those darts.
Eversol,
Right.
if you gave them to Bree,
Then things would be
we could just
asleep, not
like,
dead.
Asleep. But in all
Harbeck?
seriousness,
Yes, Babs.
Will you take me to buy some to exchange coins for more caltrops?
I'm glad that you asked me to go with you. I can make sure that you exchange the correct number of coins.
And you'll teach me how to know?
That will take some experience, some getting used to, but I'll at least make sure that you don't give away too many.
Okay.
too
pick-
many anyway.
Pick up a grappling hook while you're out.
Oh, good
Okay.
idea.
Eversol, are you looking for anything fancy with the daggers, or like just standard quality masterwork? Are you looking for anything special?
No, just a couple of throwing daggers, which these magic daggers are not well suited for throwing. I don't want to lose one of them, so I want to have some other things to throw when
Yeah,
that
he throws it
comes
into
up.
the ocean if he misses.
Yeah. So I just want to have a couple
It
stowed
might be
about
too
my
big
person.
for you. But I have 4 hand axes that I've never used, if you can throw those.
I don't think that those are of an appropriate size for me.
They're more
mean-
like a battle
It'd
axe.
be hard to conceal.
Yeah. So throwing daggers, but just normal ones. I mean, I guess if I in my shopping come across something exceptional, I will look at it, but I'm not looking specifically for that.
Okay. Roll an investigation check for me for that one. Llama, can you roll me a perception check?
Yes.
And can somebody remove grappling hook, couple of daggers, some caltrops?
Yeah.
What sort of provisions are you bringing? Like, how much food, as far as like prepared food, rations, that sort of thing?
I assume
Rations-wise-
that boats provide meals for paying customers.
I'd like to get some fishing tackle while we're out.
And some fishing tackle as well. Okay. And you are right. There will be food provided on the boat, but the boat journey is only like a day from Via to Port Maverick.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's
it's like
not nearly as terrible as Harbeck was worried about.
Yeah, maybe 2. It's like 60 miles or something, right?
Well, that's basically a week.
I have 4 weeks of food that I've just been carrying around, which probably isn't any good anymore. I have no idea what kind of food it was.
It was probably trail rations, which means it's probably fine. Salted and cured meats and things, nuts and berries. You know, the stuff you grew up on. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
so-
say about 50 gold. Eversaw, you've got a couple of new small throwing daggers. We've got a grappling hook, some fishing tackle, and that'll be covered.
I'm
That'll
going
cover
to.
everything there, I think.
So I just assumed that we split up the gold and gems, so we each have 400 gold worth of stuff. Does that sound fair to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to remove 10 for my daggers and arrows.
Hey, how much did the innkeeper charge me for renting all of his rooms until we repaired the inn?
It would have been about 10 gold a day, probably 4 or 5 days in total, you know,
Okay.
faffing about in town for now.
I will
so-
take out another 10 for that.
All right, I've paid the innkeeper.
You don't have to keep a super eye on money anyway, you know.
How many gold did you give me?
400 gold worth of
So you-
money and
Yeah,
stuff.
but, yes, a small bag of gems worth 200 gold and 200 gold.
That's 8 apples.
Hey! She may not be good at bartering, but she's good at math.
Okay.
Baby steps, baby steps.
Yeah, slowly, surely. All right.
So between renting out all the rooms and buying our equipment, the 5 of us need to give up 100 gold, right?
Basically, yeah, like 20 gold each or something will cover
Okay.
all of the stuff.
What about trank darts?
The trank darts, so you want to try and synthesize what was in the trank darts. Did
Yep.
you keep a sample of it at all?
Nope. I was planning on using the last one, and then there was combat. So I've got like the empty darts, and I can scrape around in there a little.
All right, roll an alchemy tools check for me, and let's see how good you are at recovering the minuscule amounts of.
Pretty good.
Reasonably good. Okay. All right. You managed to get a working sample, but it's going to take further analysis. So
Okay.
you can't do anything with it right now. But you can note that you have a sample of the paralyzer
Yep.
dart poison or something. I'm sure you'll come up with a clever name for it at some stage. Anyway, as far as trying to brew a brew that dulls your senses, you're struggling a little bit on that front because, well, all brews dull your senses.
Right, I was just
And
trying to amp it up.
Yeah, and you amped it up a little too much and then not enough, and you just couldn't find the balance, so you
Okay.
didn't make any headway on that, but the idea is there. It's
We'll
just
keep
a matter
working
of
on it.
putting it into practice, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's got all of the stuff that they need. What was the perception check you rolled? A 9?
It was a 9. Unless I was really paying attention and had advantage for some reason.
No, you really weren't.
Okay.
Everybody can consider themselves at full HP, full hit dice, no levels of exhaustion. It's been 4 or 5 days. Everything has been cleaned up at the inn. You've done the little bit of shopping that you wanted to do. Is
So-
there anything else anybody wanted to do in...
Somewhere
Yeah, I know.
around early day 4, Harbeck starts to think that maybe they're not coming to find him and he needs to go find the artificers. If no spider has arrived. I'm going to go back to the only place I know to look for them and hang around for a bit, which seemed to work last time, and then go back to the inn and hope that that was enough of a signal for them to come find me so I can give them their thing before we leave.
Okay, so you go to where you found the weird metal door that slapped the pretty bracelet on your wrist.
That's the one.
Okay. You get there, and the weird metal wally doory thing is not there.
No.
You're sure it was here?
Yeah.
You're absolutely positive, but it's not there.
Okay, well, I will still walk around that block 3 times to make sure that if they're watching the spot, they've noticed me, and then head back to the inn. So, you know, if they somehow didn't notice that I was back in town, hopefully they know before we leave.
Okay. And I'll get one more perception check from you, please.
Yep. That one was better.
Okay. You hear a sound, an eerily familiar sound. Kind of like glass being blown.
Oh, that sound. Is it in my backpack?
It is.
Great. Is the bag that had a small thing now containing a big thing?
When you open up your backpack, you do see that a large portion of your rucksack now contains yellow crystal.
Great. Great. Is any of my other stuff... I mean, we had that in a separate pouch inside the backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Has it ruptured that pouch?
It certainly has.
And gotten all over all of my stuff?
Yep.
Gross. How... Well, this is a conundrum. I don't know where to leave this thing. I was meant to deliver it, and I don't know who to deliver it to, and I don't know how to get in contact with them. But I can't very well leave it in the inn and have it take over the inn as it grows somehow. I get...
I think
have
we
a
should
thought.
get rid of it.
Well, right, but where do you get rid of it? Did you see how big they got in the ship?
You can toss
I've
it in
got
the
an
ocean.
idea.
The ocean's big.
The
What's that,
ocean's
Tabarin?
big. That's your plan. What's your idea,
You-
Tabarin?
Y'all remember the first place we ever went?
The dungeon.
That we
with the
had to
snake
wait
people.
until the sun set at a certain time and the tides were low.
I
Good place to hide it would be back in that cave.
wonder if my patrons, for whom I retrieved this item, will know to look for it there. I've got a bit of a debt to them.
You could leave him a note.
Where? How would they know to find it?
With the innkeeper, if they've been keeping an eye on you, they know you frequent this inn.
Fair enough.
It's the best plan we've got. Have we got enough time to head out there? Wasn't there something about little worms that multiplied exponentially and spilled out of that dungeon?
I think
Yeah,
the salt
don't
water
open the
killed
door.
them.
But the
When the
But the
dungeon filled
water-
with salt water,
yeah, it killed
I
them all.
killed them.
Did it?
I don't know if salt water will do the same thing to the yellow crystal.
There's an ocean. You could test it.
Well, if we put it in the cave, it will
Science.
test it.
Science.
right?
We could try science.
Well, down to the beach
could-
then. Let's do
I
some
could-
science.
I could try 2 things as well. It's worth a shot while we have it. I can cast Dispel Magic upon it. See if it does anything, or perhaps even remove Curse, if it were to be some sort of curse upon the item, the rock.
Give it a shot. It's all yours. In fact, it's all yours.
No, I'm not touching it.
Let's head down to the beach. We can do whatever tests we need.
Great.
Sounds
How do
good.
we get this there? It's been growing, as you can see.
Yes, but it's taken it 4 days to get that big, right?
Do you know how exponents work? How good's the math in the places you've been?
Yes, I understand how exponents work. The fact remains we don't know how quickly it is growing exponentially, right? How frequently it multiplies. I'm sure that we have 3 minutes to walk to the beach before it finishes taking over your backpack and destroys the world.
Fair enough. I think I'm going to need
So,
a new
heading-
backpack. I like this backpack.
Heading down to the beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the crystal of the size that it now weighs more than 10 pounds?
We're gonna try science. We're gonna try science.
Uh, probably not. No, I'd say it's under 10 pound.
Okay, then I will handle it with my mage hand when we get down there.
All right. So, Eversaw mage hands the crystal gently out of Llama's backpack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now,
Okay.
what's the science? I'm gonna dip it in the ocean.
I
I guess we're not very good at ideas.
Do you want to try casting at it first?
yeah, I
Simon?
was gonna start by dispelling magic on it.
I'm probably
Okay.
gonna drop it if you cast Dispel Magic.
Let's start with remove curse.
Just set it down.
Someone's thinking.
Hold it with the magic rope.
I had this image of like the crystal hovering above Harvick's head as Eversaw like gently floated it out of the backpack, and then Tavern's like, "Dispel magic." Dunk. Anyway,
Well,
Okay,
let's
so-
start with remove curse.
remove curse. So that's a ranged spell. You don't have to touch anything.
Correct.
Okay, so you cast
No,
remove curse.
no, wait. Just kidding. I may not want to do this one either. Details. Yeah, I don't want to
Well,
touch it.
here, I'll just set it on the sand. Say, go ahead.
Dispel magic, I can do at a range.
Dispel its
Okay.
magic.
And I gotta do a charisma-based check. 20. That means any magic. I think that would dispel any spell, correct?
Yeah,
I
it's like
believe so.
10 plus the spell level or something.
Yeah, 10
Yeah,
plus the spell
like every
level.
point above 10 gets you another spell level.
So if that's a 10th level spell, if it's a magic of 10th level or less, it's gone. Or if it's not.
Okay. So you cast dispel magic on the crystal.
Now I guess we just sit here and wait to see if it grows.
Everyone stare at it. Maybe it only grows if you're not looking.
Hey guys,
Start taking it in
Try
shifts to
science
watch
now.
the crystal.
I
I'm
just
gonna.
had another thought. And we maybe should have talked about this a little more before we did this.
That's how we do
But
things.
Isn't the point of the yellow crystal that it had some property and we were going to give it to someone? And now that if there's magic and it's gone, that we just ruined the whole purpose of getting this to whoever wanted it?
My employer has made the fatal mistake of not giving me their contact information. If you want someone to deliver you a thing, typically you provide them with an address.
They're going to die if they don't get these crystals?
No, I don't
And why
think
is it
so.
a fatal mistake?
Fatal to their plans. Their plans to acquire this item are going to die if I don't have the address to which to deliver it. Sort of a bit of figurative language there.
Why are we testing dropping it in the water?
Because it killed the slugs?
We need to dispose of it,
So
and if it
am I
has
just-
a violent reaction with seawater, our best place to dispose of it is not going to work.
Okay.
Do we know that touching this would be bad?
Well, do you remember the
try
fellow
it.
we got it from?
Oh yeah, he just like stood
Then
there. And
don't
didn't
touch
move.
He was touching it.
No, don't.
Now, perhaps if you've dispelled the magic, it's fine to touch, but
Yeah, don't touch it.
I'm going to go ahead and use the old dwarven tradition of nose goes.
I'm gonna wander a little bit closer to the to the edge of the water and use some sort of container like a water skin or something and fill it up with ocean water and then carry it back over to the rock sitting on the beach and pour ocean water on the rock.
I
With my
wanted to do
hand.
the science.
The crystal is now wet.
Then the real science is cataloguing what happens. So if you watch carefully, that's the real science.
So is the planet
Did anything
That's
happen?
boring.
Is the plan now to head back
Got
to the
wet.
cavern and leave this there? For lack of a better place to put it.
Well, I'm not taking it with me. And I don't want to leave it in town and come back to veer a giant yellow crystal.
If it's capable of that, the one out in the ocean is going to end up destroying the world anyway.
Right, and let's make this one not destroy it any faster.
Alright, so as I recall, it's about an 8-hour
Hey,
walk out to that cavern. We should probably
Hey
get going.
guys, I just want to try one other thing, and I suggest we all just maybe step back.
Did it
What if we-
grow yet?
Actually, blowing it up would just make more pieces and more problems. Let's not do that idea.
The idea was blowing it up. Yes.
Maybe we can put it inside of a really strong box.
We could do that. I don't know. I wish we knew how fast it grew.
I have a very interesting idea. And
I'm listening.
I would like to... So I have something I need to tell you guys about that first ring that we got.
Sure.
When I put it on, y'all know that I disappeared.
I
ended up watching Sarath and this dark wind elemental thing conversing, almost arguing with one another. And maybe do we think that these rocks have a value to someone that wants something bad to happen? Or do we think that they're just merely bad and we need to get rid of it?
They may be the bad thing that the bad people wanted to happen.
It seems to me that they were... Well, I don't know. They were on the ship when we were on the ship, one assumes, and we didn't know anything about it until Kurtlemak got there and started doing whatever mumbo-jumbo he was about. I don't know if the crystal's growth is a result of him, if the crystal is a result of him. Whatever it is, it seems to be powerful and evil. I feel like we should just get rid of it.
I know. Why don't we send up a flare until the people you're supposed to sell it to come find us?
I tried to... The only way I know to signal them. I tried. They haven't been by. I mean, we could say, everyone, come look at our big yellow crystal. We've got a big yellow crystal. Everyone come see it. Look, if you touch it, you die. Who wants to try? Come touch the Yeah, it's growing. That's right. You just saw it grow a bit. It's fine. It's totally going to be fine. I don't...
Look.
Maybe that's not the best
I
plan.
think you should be doing that where
Lash.
there are people, not here on the beach.
I don't
The-
think we should show a lot of people that we have a growing death ball. That's not generally something you want to advertise to the public at large.
What if we
Lash.
don't tell them that we have it?
Question.
Perception checks from everybody, please.
I was too busy gesticulating wildly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Brig and Rogar and Tavern, you guys all notice some weird homeless fellow sort of wandering along on the beach, but Tavern and Rogar, there's something a little bit unusual about him, and he seems to be heading towards you. By the time you've noticed, however, he's basically like within... Like he can talk to you without having to raise his voice at all. And from underneath a raggedy old hooded robe, he says, the fat one's right. You probably shouldn't be screaming about it.
Well,
What if we just
was the
leave
fat
it
one
here?
also right
Wait,
when he said that if you want something delivered, you should give the delivery address?
That's not how this works.
Well, I hope that it works at all.
Explain how it works then.
No, thank you. And he walks over and goes to pick the crystal up.
Hold up.
We were instructed
Who
not
are
to
you?
touch that.
Yeah, you were.
That's his
And he
problem.
bends over to pick the crystal up.
Don't touch it. I'll get in his way.
I'm going to roll my eyes, shrug my shoulders, and say, I'm going to go arrange a boat and wander off.
And wander off.
I'm very excited to witness this science because I've tried to touch it so many times.
So, Tabrin, you're interposing yourself in the way of
Yeah, I
the...
want to know who this is first.
As
Why does
you-
it matter? We don't want the crystal and he does. Just give it to him.
Okay.
No,
as
then
you
we should get an
interpose-
apple first.
Have him give us an apple and then give him the crystal.
As you interpose yourself, and only you see this because you're directly in front of him, you catch a glimpse underneath his hood, and you see a man, the face of a man. It's like it's just a human, completely hairless, covered in purple scales. But as you see that, he gently lays a hand on your chest, and you feel the sudden overwhelming urge to just get out of the way and
Have a cappuccino, maybe.
roll a charisma save for me, please.
All right.
You feel
The
an
overwhelming
overwhelming
urge
urge to roll a charisma save.
Hashtag breaking the fourth wall.
25.
25.
Yeah.
One
Take
does
that.
not simply brush Tabard aside.
Actually, in this case, one simply does. So you resist with all of your might, and you do resist the secondary effect of the spell, which is great. But you gently step aside and stand there, almost immobile, and watch as this man leans over from underneath his hooded figure, which nobody else has seen under. Gently picks the crystal up, tucks it under an arm, and wanders off the beach. And you stand there watching him go for
Can't talk.
As-
until he's out of vision.
anything.
Can't-
As he starts to leave, Harbeck's going to call after him. Oi! You are not what you advertised to be.
He turns and glances over his shoulder. Not enough that you can see inside of his hood. Like, he's wearing a very large sort of hooded cloak, raggedy old cloak. And as he turns, you can see the profile of his hood, but not his actual face.
Sure.
But you hear his voice clear as day. What do you mean?
Well, it was meant to be an induction into a society. And instead I get secrets and riddles and I get brushed aside and I'm sick of it. I'm frustrated with this whole experience. I've run your errand. Now you tell me something. Anything.
He turns his head away for a moment, and you can see him sort of sigh and shrug. And then he reaches one hand into some fold or pocket of his robe, and he turns and throws a glass ball in your direction.
I
Mage hand.
catch it.
You catch it?
Yes. This
Okay.
may be a terrible plan, but that's what Harbeck does. He just reflexes, just catch it.
Okay, you catch it. It's a small glass globe, perfectly sealed, but it's filled with a strange amber liquid. Something that you've never seen before. Like, it looks like not carbonated beer, but a much deeper, almost golden color. And after he flicks that to you and you catch it, he says, "Figure out how to open it. Then I'll come find you," and continues to walk off. And as he passes from behind, like out of vision and around some rocks, ignoring any further complaints or calls.
There is a call.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry! I'm sorry. Harbeck is like completely, like all of his frustration is gone because he has a puzzle. And he just
And
like
Tavern-
suddenly feels like, oh, I shouldn't have been so angry. So he does shout that out.
Okay. And Tabron, as he disappears out of sight, you start to feel like you have control of your body again. Slowly but surely, the feeling returns to your limbs, and you can actually speak again.
What just happened?
Harbeck is completely lost in his puzzle, examining, rotating, turning, shaking. No answer at all.
The guy took the crystal and then threw a glass ball at Harbeck.
You let him take the crystal?
Yep. Did you
That-
want it?
Yeah.
So you
I didn't
remember
want him
everything
to
that you
have
saw.
it.
You remember
I-
everything you saw.
Remember everything
You-
I saw.
Yeah, like
This.
you felt like something was trying to erase your memory as well as paralyze you, but you fought with all of your strength, and you retained that memory of seeing his face and.
The guy who came and I tried to stop from taking it was one of those purple, bald, scaly creatures that tried to kill us back at the inn.
Well,
We gotta get to the freelands. and
That's unusual
Figure out who
because-
these people are.
this definitely suggests, this sphere definitely suggests that he's from the Artificers Guild. And I don't know, it might be a coincidence if he was purple and scaly.
It's
Or-
definitely
It might be terrible.
what he did to me just now was stronger magic than I've had to deal with ever. And I'm lucky that I can even recall what has happened.
Now, Harbeck, that's a bit of a dichotomy because the artificers are specifically people who are seeking technological advancement, in replacement of magical effects. That's the whole purpose technology is being developed is to, to fill the void left behind by the waning magic of the world. So for a very adept magic user of some description to be a part of the Artificers Guild is a puzzle in itself.
Are you sure it was magic?
Positive. Something I've never seen before.
Well,
If
sure,
it's
but,
not magic, it's nothing physical or
but look,
technological.
Harbeck channels his key and tosses some sand with elemental attunement monk abilities. Says, that's not magic. It looks like it, though.
I'll meet y'all back at the inn.
Okay.
Tabron heads off.
Okay.
Do we go after him?
One yellow crystal disposed of. What's the rest of the group doing?
Harbeck sits down right in the sand to look at his little globe.
I'm heading to the harbor master to see when the ship comes in and arrange passage.
Okay. The harbour master, in regards to that, he says the ship's going to be arriving in 4 days' time. There's plenty of cabins available. There should be no problem with booking passage on the ship.
Do I just speak with the
passage-
captain when the ship is in?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, there's a charge for being transported as passengers.
Of course.
Typically, the going rate is 15 gold pieces for for transport to Port Maverick. The captain will try and give it to you for 20, but
15 is the going rate.
15 is the going rate. Don't
I assume
don't let him
that's-
make you out of
Is that 15 per cabin or 15 per person?
per person. It's board and lodgings for people.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the heads up. Is there any way that you could send word when the ship gets in?
It'll be here in 3 days. It's always on time.
All right, we'll be back then. Thank you.
No worries. Lama, in regards to the globe that you've received, it is a perfect sphere.
That's unusual
Which-
all by itself.
Yeah, it is a perfect sphere, and it is seamless. But while you're poking and prodding and twisting it, it twists. In fact,
Oh.
it twists in almost every direction, and it twists like
Along
If-
equators? Like along great circle paths?
and smaller circles and
Okay.
intersecting points and
Like a
It's-
Rubik's sphere.
yeah, it's like a Rubik's sphere.
Great. And now that I've jumbled it, like, is there any kind of marking? Like, I
Not
can't
a
see
mark
the
on it.
joints where I twisted. It's that well put together.
Yep.
And so it's not marked at all. So now that I've jumbled it, if there was some pattern to it before I jumbled it, I've lost it.
Yes.
Okay, good. Does shaking the liquid inside reveal a pattern on the inner surface?
No, and the liquid like fully fills the sphere.
Oh, okay. So there's no
No air. It's like airtight in there.
okay, and there's no little bubble.
No bubble to indicate
Okay.
any kind of air.
Um,
Which, like I said, it's very unusual.
yeah, that's super weird. So I'm going to take it back to the inn and get some flour and see if I can coat the glass in flour and get an idea of how, like with that flour coating, if that gives me any surface structure to investigate and notice the structure of the joints.
Okay, interesting. Anything else that anybody's doing?
I am headed to the library as well as some of the people that I grew up learning magic from, whether that was at one of the priests or anyone that I've come in contact with. I've got questions and looking for any information at the library I can find.
In regards to
In
unusual
regards
magics.
to unusual magic, Rogar had mentioned something about the Valley of Mists.
Yep.
Any information I can find regarding that. I probably won't return back to the inn for 2 days.
Okay, so 2 full days that you'll be gone. Right, I'll get you to roll 2 investigation checks for me. Then.
I'm gonna spend some time catching up with Binks. I feel like I've been neglecting him.
Oh, poor Bing.
I'm playing the flute.
Well, apparently. In fact, strangers are stopping and sort of staring at you playing the flute under the tree. In fact, there's a bit of a crowd gathering.
I'm staring awkwardly at them while I play the flute.
Okay, so night comes that day. Din's had a bit of an awkward experience with flute playing. Tabrin's nowhere to be seen, and Llama is playing with a little ball.
Mm-hmm. Dipping it
Rogar
in
and-
various substances to see if I can figure out the surface.
Rogar and Brieg, what are you guys doing? And Din as well.
So I'm just sitting in our customary table, which I assume we have at this point, and practicing sleight of hand tricks with Binks.
Who
I'm
is
getting-
greatly amused every time you make a nut disappear behind one of its ears.
I'm getting very excited about going home and sort of just chattering about the forest to Brieg, who may or may not be listening. It doesn't really matter. I'm just like babbling about it.
I occasionally nod politely before making Binks laugh, or whatever ferrets do when they are amused.
You can tell he's amused. Everybody else probably just is getting annoyed by the horrible... I don't know if people have ever had ferrets. I had a ferret when I was younger. They make a really awful noise when they're excited. I'm not even going to attempt it.
The little chittering, squeaky... Yeah, I'm sure it's lovely.
Yeah, it's not... It's really not...
Yeah, it's not.
Harbeck has a capacity honed over the years at the monastery of shutting off any senses he's not using for the task at hand. So he can feel his fingertips and see, and that's all he's got. Like, he doesn't hear any of the outside world. Like, it doesn't... I mean, his ears are working, but it just doesn't connect to consciousness.
Okay.
Twist, twist.
And Harbeck continues to play with his balls. So, we've got...
Harbeck?
I,
Harbeck?
well,
Har-
okay,
Harbeck.
even if you're not consciously registering, your name tends to get through on the third pass. So, like, as if awaking from a trance, lad, what do you need?
What are the parameters of your puzzle?
I've got to open it. It spins. Come look.
Do you have to open it, or do you just have to get what's in it out?
I was told to open it. I think if I break it, that probably doesn't fit the puzzle in the way they're hoping for me to fit it. Perhaps I'm supposed to break it and just prove that I think differently. Oh no.
Well, I don't think that breaking it is proving you think differently, since that occurred to me and Den and you. That's probably just what frustrated people do.
If there are 3 people in this world who think differently, you've just named them.
Oh, dear.
Do you mind if I take a look?
Please?
I'm going to take a look with a die roll.
An investigation check.
I was waiting till I was told to make one.
As I mentioned before, just really unusual, perfectly formed, spins on all sorts of axes. Yeah, it's unusual, but you can't figure it out. Like, you're fairly adept with traps and things. Maybe you could tinker at it with thieves' tools and see if there's any seams or hidden catches or anything like that. But you don't see anything.
Yeah, usually I
thorough
have to
investigation.
see the mechanisms before I actually get the thieves' tools out. So if
Yeah.
I can't see any mechanisms, okay,
You could,
I'll
you
just
could
hand
blindly poke and prod, but yeah.
it back. Yeah, I'll just hand it back and say, well, I'll think about it. If anything occurs to me, I'll let you know.
So, like, the path of a spin is going to be circular, right? And those circles
Yes.
are going to intersect, and that's going to leave faces on the surface of this thing.
Yes,
have I
you would imagine so.
have I been successful at getting anything to stick to the glass?
No, nothing will stick to it.
So, like, if
It's
I
perfectly smooth.
Yep.
So as an alchemist, as somebody who has done a bit of brewing and is
Sure.
familiar with the formation of casks and glass and things like that, you're familiar with surface tension and the way porous surfaces hold fluids and create friction, etc., etc. This is like even holding it is reasonably tricky. It's like perfectly smooth.
Okay.
The surface of this glass.
So there is no way, like, dyes, powders, goo, honey, nothing will let me mark out where a face is. Like, I'd just like to color each face a different color so I can get some visual sense of this without having to, like, rely that much on memory.
Have you ever seen that what is it called? There's a particular kind of nano coating that they're putting on, like, work boots and things now.
Yep.
Where you can, like, stick your foot in a bucket of grease and the boot comes out perfectly clean.
Yeah, hydrophobic
It's-
coatings.
Yeah, hydrophobic. It's like that. It just nothing will apparently stick to it. You pull out
Okay.
You try chalk, you try honey, you try all sorts of things. You try wetting it and then applying something that's dry to it to try and get something to stick to it. Nothing will stick to it.
Okay. Then I'm just gonna get out a bunch of paper and start charting as best I can, like finding a seam, finding another seam, writing down the angle, like just trying to map this thing if at all possible. And that's what, like, until Harbeck falls asleep from exhaustion, he's working on this project.
Don't say the word
try
exhaustion.
throwing it in the fire.
That seems like a bit of a last resort, Babs. And once I've exhausted this process that I'm working on now, I might try that.
Can you think of a better way to heat it up?
Why do we need to heat it up?
Because, I don't know. For science.
The voice in her head told her to.
Because from
Sometimes
science.
when you throw things in fire, things happen, like explosions and... I don't know. Don't you put metal in fire to make it do things that you want it to do?
I'd like to solve this without destroying it.
But how do you know the fire will destroy it?
I don't know that it won't.
And I'll tell you
Yep,
what.
I'm confused.
Well-
I'm gonna get dinner.
Will you grab me something while you're up, then?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not gonna
we'll
ask you what. I'm just gonna go grab something.
I got you this chair!
she comes back with like an old leather shoe. Gnomes eat these, right?
Just
They're
ask
like-
the innkeeper
they're
for
like goats.
something.
We'll do a YouTube cut here and have a 3-minute break, I think, because it is on the hour.
Whatever random thing Din brings back, Brig just says, thank you.
If you're watching on YouTube, we'll be back with the continuation of this session shortly. If you're on Twitch, it'll be a short 3-minute break, and we will return